So the first job for me to do is take this spring into the barrel. And this is the mainspring from the Seiko chronograph. So I've done a little bit of training. I note that this spiral here is going clockwise on this, not counterclockwise. So it's a clockwise wind on this, so I got to maintain that clockwise wind after I've removed it, cleaned the barrel, and basically taken the thing back out again. The bad news is the arbor for the barrel just went flying. So if I'm really lucky, I'll find it. If I'm not, looks like I've just screwed everything up and I got to get a brand new barrel arbor. So there's the spring, it's out. That's all good. So I can still clean everything and see what we can do from there. So I found the arbor for the barrel on the floor. It's the world's smallest part, and through some form of luck I was able to find this part on the floor. Amazing. So the first step in fixing this mainspring barrel is to clean it. So I've got some lighter fluid here. I'm just going to pour this into this container, and I'm just going to give this barrel a little bit of a wash. Now, I had previously washed the barrel before, but I had issues trying to get this thing all cleaned up properly. So I think just putting it in here will degrease it, and it doesn't look like it needs a whole lot of washing, so I'm just going to do this for a few minutes and degrease the barrel. Lintless tissue, stock number 55. Now this tissue, lintless tissue, is great for drying watch parts. So you put the part down like that, or the paper down like this, and then you basically put this watch part onto this tissue paper, and it'll absorb a lot of the liquid from the part. Like I have here, and lightly blow on the part, and try not to blow the part off your desk. The other thing is I'm using lighter fluid, so it's not a great idea if you do this all the time to do it without having proper ventilation in your workshop. Now I have some barrel grease here, and what I'm going to do is take a toothpick and then simply take a little dab of barrel grease and grease the edge of the barrel with this, just to make sure that the spring will slip in position. So it's a tricky kind of movement, but that's exactly what you do here, is that you take this barrel grease and you put it in like so, and you don't want too much. If you put too much in, then you'll just get too slippery and won't catch the watch. So I put a very little bit of it in there, and then I'm going to rub it along the edge of the barrel here. So there we go. So that's the barrel all greased up, and this thing is kind of a consistency of soap, so it's not the greatest stuff in the world. So that's greasing the barrel on the inside. So the next trick is to get the spring here back into the barrel, and the spring goes clockwise from the inside going out, and then once I get the spring in the barrel, I take this small arbor here and I place that in, and I hook the arbor into the spring. So this will be very tricky stuff. And just to let you know, I got a pair of these loops on eBay, and actually I think I went to AliExpress.com, and they only cost like $7, and they have a light built into them. And I unscrewed one side, so you can just you have pure vision one side, and then you have this thing is really close up. So if you have a look at the teeth here on the edge of the barrel or something like this, you can use this kind of a loop. I don't normally wear this kind of a loop, only when I want to look right up close. So I'm going to put the spring into the barrel right now, and I'm going to use one of my Swiss tools that I got, and this is what it looks like here. And this has got to fit into the barrel, so you have to test this first to make sure that this fits. It's the right size as it goes down into the barrel like that, and it does. because you're going to be putting it in the barrel and then pushing the spring into the barrel. So you wind the spring around this and then push the spring into the barrel. So let me wind the spring up first. Once you have the spring ready here, you've got to make sure you maintain the direction of the winding. So I've picked the tool here that fits nicely here, so it fits quite nicely. So this will be a bit tight for turning, I think, but I'm going to try to use this tool. So we'll see what happens. So what I do is I stick this through here and I try to catch the spring by winding it in the same direction. So now that I've got the very small notch here in this little arbor here caught on the kind of the opening in the spring, I should be able to wind that into the spring winder. Now the tricky part is I don't really know how to get this spring out after I've got it fully wound, because I don't think it's as easy as I think it is. So I'm going to wind this up and then just go from there, kind of wing it, see what happens. So I'm winding the spring back in around this little arbor here, so hopefully I won't lose an eye doing this, because this spring is going to be really tight. This is a Swiss tool. I know there's better tools than this. There's much better tools than this, but they also cost a fortune. So this is a 4-man's spring winder, I think, or maybe hundreds of years ago when they were doing this stuff, they just thought to themselves, we don't have enough, we need more tools. So the spring is now wound into the spring winder. Now I don't know for the life of me how to get the this arbor out with the notch, so I might be in trouble here when I try to do that. I don't know if I'm in trouble or not, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to just kind of release this a little bit to see if it gives me some play on this particular thing. Oh, look at that. So it comes out. So what you do, there's a spring in the spring winder right there. So what you do is, once you get it in tight, you back this off, and then the spring loosens up just enough to be able to get this very fine notch here. The notch that actually caught the spring. It's ever so small. Well, there it is there. So there's the notch there. So you got to somehow slide that notch out, and this is a dual, so it has one on the other side. Now I don't know, this one is a big one, so I'm not sure how the heck you'd get this one out, but this notch here is huge, so I don't know how you'd remove that notch from the spring once you got it in. But anyway, I got the notch out, so I've had some success. So now I'm going to line the spring up with the barrel, and I'm going to hopefully push this in the barrel, or I'm going to lose an eye doing it, that's as they say. So I'm going to get it nice and tight here so I can see what I got here to make sure I've got this spring in the barrel, nicely in the barrel. So right now it looks like the spring is nicely sitting in the barrel. I'll zoom in here so you can have a look. There we go. The spring is nicely in the barrel, so all I should have to do is push down on the end here, and it should release the spring into the barrel with a snap, and then lift up, and there we go. The spring is in the barrel. So that's the spring there wound into the barrel successfully. Now I got to get the arbor in, which is this little, I don't want to drop, I dropped this and I don't want the spring to come out. That would be a bad day. but I want to get this arbor in, which is this little component right here. I can barely pick up and get that into the barrel. So we're going to see if we can do that and get this thing back together again. Now what I'd like to do is to put a couple of spots of Mobius oil, the 9010, just on the top of the spring to let it work in, and this way it'll provide some actual lubrication for the spring itself. And this oil is the viscosity of this oil is quite high, so I'm just going to tap it in a few places here, and that will keep the spring a bit lubricated. You don't want to put too much on because you'll end up collecting dust and such on the spring, and then you get a different problem altogether. I want this to slide in on the barrel cap as well. Should have a bit of oil on it too, and that'll slide on the barrel cap nicely. So I'll take the barrel cap here, if I can turn that around, and put a little bit of oil on that as well. Then I've got my problem solved. What I really need to do is get my other tweezers out so I can stop with these. Just a set of cheap tweezers I had for punching the barrel out before. So if I just put a little bit of oil on here, I can actually see where the rust was, or the corrosion was from before, and that was the spring rubbing on the end of this thing here. So you want the spring to be able to move and release its energy to the rest of the watch, and in order to do that, it has to be able to be free. And in order for it to be free, it needs to have some oil, and in order for it to have some oil, it has to allow me to put it on. So, and I'm also going to put some on the wall as well to allow the arbor inside to turn. And I just put a little tiny bit of oil on there. And I think I've done about as much as I can do here. So it's nicely oiled. Now you want to put the arbor back in to place, and you want it to be you want it to catch the groove in the spring, so that when the arbor turns, right, it turns in the right direction. So I believe it goes in with this side facing up. So I just have to confirm that by rotating it slightly and having a look at where the catch is on this. It looks like the catch is on that side. So if I put it in that way, it should catch the spring going around. So I'm going to put this arbor in here like that. And then I'm going to probably need some help with another tool to get this in, but I got to get it into the spring, so into the slot, and then it's got to catch the spring. So I will play with this until I get this done. So I got the arbor back into place by lining it up and pushing it down through the spring, and then I took the cap and I placed the cap nicely on top of the barrel. So the cap is on the barrel there. As you can see, it's nicely lined up, and so that ends the wonderful put the spring back in the barrel exercise for a Friday afternoon. Done.